The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. Excuse me, when was the last time that the poverty-stricken masses had cell phones? Huh? Come on! Every freaking poor person up and down the streets has a cell phone. Or a beeper. It used to be. More and more cell phones are available for even the poorest people. So if the poor are getting poorer, then why is it that they've got all the clothes they want and they are obese by and large in America? Poor people are obese, middle class people are overweight, and rich people are healthy. So when was the last time you saw the poor getting poorer to the extent that they had way more to eat than they could handle? They have cell phones and better living conditions than anyone else in the world, any other poverty-stricken people anywhere else in the world. What does it mean to be poverty-stricken in America? It means you only have 2-color TVs in your house. So the Marxists are stupid and will continue to be. So such men, the middle classes, who are neither rich nor particularly poor, are the natural enemies of violent commotion. Their stillness keeps all beneath them and above them still, and secures the balance of the fabric of society. End quote from Tocqueville. In such a land, then, amidst the conservatism bred by well-being, revolution must indeed be rare. And that's what we see. We see in America today the oldest government on the planet. I don't think that there's another government this old, if you want to call the British government as old as ours, but maybe. If not, it's amazing how old our government is. Literally older than all of the following put together: Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Japan, South Korea, and oh man, you can add a few more in there. All together, not as old as the United States of America's government. They think of us as a young country, the New World country, right? France has a history. America's a whippersnapper. Wrong, wrong. America's government is older than many other governments put together. Interesting fact. We skip a couple paragraphs. In Part 2 of Democracy in America, Tocqueville's long catalog of the influence of democracy, or equality, upon the intellect, manners, and feelings of Americans remains shrewdly pertinent today. Tocqueville talks about the future of literature in America. And he was largely correct. Listen to this. Though some few writers of superior ability would retain their individual brilliance and artistry, most writers would become tradesmen themselves. Now that's the abridger guy, the editor speaking. Here's a quote from Tocqueville himself. This is about literature. See if this describes what you see when you go to a bookstore today. Quote, "Style will frequently be fantastic, incorrect, overburdened, and loose. Almost always vehement and bold. Authors will aim at rapidity of execution more than at perfection of detail." Right? You've got to publish another book. There will be more wit than erudition. Erudition meaning learnedness. So there will be more stuff that's funny than intelligent. There will be more imagination than profundity. Right? Things won't be profound. They'll be fantastic. Literary performances will bear marks of untutored and rude vigor of thought. The object of authors will be to astonish rather than to please, and to stir the passions more than to charm the tastes. So true. I mean, that is perfect. That is a description of literature today in America. On the other hand, that's like describing in economics, you know. People will just want to have nice, wealthy things in their house, but they won't really appreciate fine stuff. Fine, people are in the middle class then. But once in a while, you will have, in economics, you'll have a rich person, in America richer than anywhere else in the world, and once in a while, in culture, or literature, or whatever, you'll have a metaphorically wealthy person, so that in America, the greatest writers and geniuses are bound to come about. The richest people come about in economics, and the most brilliant people come about as far as writing and literature. And if they exist somewhere else, the most brilliant people, oftentimes they immigrate to America to get away from the crap that they're involved in and live with elsewhere. Done with the quote from Tocqueville, on back to the editor. In literature, as in the cultivation of all other arts, the so-called craftsman of democratic ages places a premium upon quantity rather than quality, upon profit rather than perfection. We've seen this. Religion, too, must feel the effects of democracy. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Now this is the original reason that I got gung-ho about reading this, is because I heard Leonard Peikoff's explanation of why America's more religious. He just stabs in the dark and doesn't get anywhere. With all due respect to Peikoff, who's absolutely brilliant, he would do well to understand a little bit more about evolution, because evolution doesn't just show up in animals and genetics. Evolution's everywhere. And evolution has had its effect on religion in the United States, and religion is what it is today because it has evolved under the pressures put on it by the American way of life, the American system. So, religion too must feel the effects of democracy. Its forms and structures, strictures, become less rigid, right? Because you can't force people to go to church and stuff. You're free in America. So, the forms become less rigid, though it continues to provide a substructure of belief and self-estimation for men whose seeming political freedom would otherwise make life and thought intolerably nebulous and infirm. Now, that's a really bizarre thought. To Tocqueville's mind, if you don't have politics stamped onto your class or your person or something, if you don't have political views inherent in your way of life or handed to you by your parents or your education, then life would be intolerably nebulous and infirm. He just can't conceive of people living in just growing up and living in a free country where politics is the last thing on their mind and they couldn't care less. All they want to do is go to the soccer game. He can't conceive of that. There has to be some background political, socio-economic views stamped into people, or else thought is intolerably nebulous and infirm. He just can't conceive of the whole organic nature of what freedom is, where you don't have to give a damn about everything. You can actually just live your life. And you might be an uneducated dolt, what the Greeks called an idiot, meaning someone who's not interested in politics, but it's an option. That's an option for you. You don't have to have some basic background of thought. But he says this basic background of thought, commonly uniting people, absent in the political realm, is present to some extent in religion. Now, that's all we go into here about religion, but I'll just say a little bit more. Religion in America has evolved to the point where it's a very feel-good institution, where religion's not here to castigate you and destroy your soul and control you and tell you what to do and how to behave. It's here to make you feel good, to get you to come to the church and to get you to put $1 in the collection plate. So religions in other countries where the government gets to say this can be practiced and that can't, and you have to go this day and you can't go then, you have to have instruction in religion or whatever, you can't have instruction in that religion. People care less about religion than in America, where you can have any type of religion you want. And if you don't like this church, you can go down to the other one over there. And if that church is preaching bad things to people and yelling at them, telling them they're nasty, and this church over here says everybody should love everybody, we should all feel good, eventually that one's going to shut down because people don't like going to it. And that's what we have in America today, is a whole bunch of feel-good religions. People go to religious institutions for communitarian purposes, not to be told that they're evil, disgusting, hopeless sinners. And it's been brought about by evolution because of the system, rather than by whatever bizarre things Peikoff brought up.